Aloha, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week of Trauma Recovery University. I'm your host, Athena Moberg, and with us in the green room, of course, is your incredible co-host, Bobby Parrish. We are so excited to be with you, as always, here for our weekly live Q&A. You guys are the reason we show up every single week, and we are so grateful for you. If this is your first time joining us and you are here live with us, please go ahead and join the conversation and tweet your questions using the hashtag #NoMoreShame. As always, every single week we show up here Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we have a new topic we discuss every single week. If you're tuning in on a replay, down below, just before the comments at the bottom of the description of this video, there's a button where you could click to fast forward to just the screen share portion, and you won't have to listen to other people's questions about their recovery journey and our answers. However, I say that tentatively because sometimes other people's questions, A, they let us know we're not alone and we're not the only ones feeling that way. B, it could be your exact same question and you could get it answered in a very real way that isn't going to be written in the one-page content that's going to be screen shared in sort of a webinar style. And then third, I think there's something magical that happens when you watch an interaction with a whole bunch of different survivors. And again, just going back to even reason number one, you realize you're not alone. It's not just you, and it's not just you and one other person. There are books and resources and theses and dissertations and all kinds of things written on the topic that you are curious about. So if you are an adult survivor of child abuse, specifically childhood sexual abuse, you are in the right place. We show up here every week and we come and we answer your questions about abuse recovery and about your recovery journey, because it is a journey. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and shift this over to Bobby. This week's topic is religious abuse. Religious abuse is a loaded topic. It goes right alongside with cult abuse. What is religious abuse? Is religious abuse something that happens in the church? Does it happen because of the church? Is it church abuse? Is it abuse about religion? What is religious abuse? We're going to unpack what it is, what it isn't, and how it was used in our childhood for many survivors. We have a comprehensive downloadable one-page resource that is complimentary for you, the listener, viewer, subscriber, or just awesome survivor. You can go over to one of our websites, either traumarecoveryuniversity.com or nomoreshameproject.com. Click on the tab that says downloadables, and you'll be asked for your email address and given immediate access to tonight's downloadable resource, as well as all of our downloadable resources, which there's over 90 of them at this point. And it will be closer to the top if you're tuning in close to April 4th, 2016. So I'm going to hand this over to my esteemed colleague, Bobby Parrish. And I just want to say welcome. We are so happy you're here. Take it away, Bobby.
Hi, everybody. And we are so happy you're here, and we are so honored that you are here. If this is your first time here, Athena and I are both survivors of childhood abuse, specifically childhood sexual abuse, although we had the privilege of experiencing many kinds of childhood abuse, and we have more than 20 years of recovery work between the two of us. And so the reason that we created these videos and this video broadcast was to share with you what we have learned in the hopes of making your recovery smoother and quicker. So just to start off, I'm going to issue a big old trigger warning. This is a broadcast, this is a podcast that discusses childhood abuse. And tonight's broadcast might be especially triggering because we're going to be talking about religious abuse. When religion is used to justify or silence or explain your abuse. So that in and of itself might be particularly triggering for you tonight. If you're triggered, just go ahead and shut your computer down or set your phone down or your tablet, whatever you need to do, and just walk away and do some self-care. All of these videos and podcasts can be watched later. They're all up on YouTube. They're all up on Roku TV. Soon they will all be on iTunes. You can come back at any time. Even if you need to shut this down and walk away from it for months, you can always come back. And if you're here watching us live, you can always shut it down too. And in a couple of hours, it'll be up on YouTube and you can go back to it when you're ready. But we are certainly not here to make things difficult for you. We don't want you to feel stressed about this and upset while you're watching the broadcast. So just go ahead, close it down and walk away and do something kind and nurturing for yourself to help yourself feel better and get more grounded. If you are in crisis right now or you need help urgently, we would like to invite you to reach out to our friends at RAINN. That is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network. Ooh, that's a tongue twister sometimes. They have a 24-hour crisis hotline for residents of the United States and Canada. They can be reached at 1-800-656-HOPE, H-O-P-E. You can also use their 24/7 crisis chat feature on their website, and that's RAINN, RAINN.org. If you're in the UK, you can reach out to the Samaritans, and their number, I have it on a little sticky here, is 116123. You can also reach out to them via email, and that email address is jo@samaritans.org. If you are in Australia and you're currently in crisis or you need help urgently, the National Crisis Hotline in Australia is 131114. And welcome to all of our Australian peeps. I just learned today that our broadcast comes on at either 10 or 11 in the morning in Australia. So 2 o'clock in the morning to all of our UK peeps and 10 or 11 Tuesday morning for our Australian peeps. And as we add larger communities around the world, we will greet you and give you crisis numbers as well. So again, we're here tonight to talk about religious abuse. And that is when our abuser or their enablers uses religion to silence you, to shame you, to justify why they're doing what they do, to keep you obedient to what is happening. And sometimes, we have 3 Twitter chats a week. The first one is on Monday at 10 a.m. in the Pacific and 6 p.m. in the UK. That's primarily for our UK audience. We have several cult survivors who went through ritualized cult abuse when they were children. And in that instance, religion, even though some of us would not recognize that as true religion, but it was religion in their lives was used as a part of an intricate part of their abuse. And first of all, we're here to tell you flat out, we're not here to bash religion. We're here to talk about the ways that it is used malignantly against us, children, in our abuse. We're not here to say you shouldn't have a faith. We're not here to say you shouldn't belong to an organized religion. We're here to tell you that if religion was used against you as a child, that you can find some healing and you can find a faith that is healthy to you if that's what you want. Okay? And we're going to talk a lot tonight about personal choice. What is your personal choice? Faith and religion is very much a personal choice. It's not something that I can tell you what to do. It's not something Athena can tell you what to do. And frankly, it isn't something anyone should tell you what to do. It has to be something that you personally choose within yourself. And a lot of that for us as survivors is so important, because when we were children, we didn't get to choose. We had no power. Things were forced upon us. But now, not only do we get to choose, but it's actually healing for us to choose, even if we choose no. Okay? And you have that power now, and you have that choice, and you get to make your own decisions. So I think that's kind of all we have. Athena, who is monitoring the Twitter stream over there, what kind of comments or questions are we getting so far? I know that some people were feeling nervous about tonight and the topic.
Yeah, it's a loaded topic, you guys. Religion is so delicate and so personal, and I want to echo what Bobby was mentioning just a moment ago, and I want to emphasize how personal a relationship with a higher power or a faith in anything is. And I personally feel that it is arrogant for anyone to tell you what you should or what you are supposed to be feeling. As many of you know, I was raised in a toxic environment with half of my family being outspokenly, quote unquote, in air quotes, devout Roman Catholics. They had holy statues all over their homes. They had rosary beads everywhere. I was sent to catechism. But yet, with that being said, and while that is all very, very fine, there's nothing wrong with Catholicism. Again, echoing, we're going to say it probably about 30 times tonight, not bashing religion, not bashing God. If any of you have been watching this channel for any length of time, you know I'm a woman of faith. I'm deeply grounded in my faith. I feel like my faith has saved my life and saved me from my suicide attempts. So I'm not bashing anyone's faith or religion, but I was raised in an environment that, while being extremely, in air quotes, supposedly religious, with the statues and the Our Fathers and the Hail Marys and the rosary beads and the little things dangling from the review mirror that had like the whatever, and then like
the rosary.
Yeah, and the Saint Christopher medal thing, and you pray to Saint Anthony if you lose something, and you pray to Saint whoever, and all this. Again, if you're hearing sarcasm in my voice, it's not because I'm bashing religion. It's that if you guys know a little bit of my story, you know that while one moment that's going on, the next moment I'm being passed around from family member to family member to family member, some of which were molesting me sexually and forcing me to touch them sexually, forcing me to allow them to touch me sexually. And then I was told that I was a bad girl and that I was dirty and disgusting. And so I would try to run away and try to hide. And if I tried to run away and hide and my mom found out about it, or one of my family members found out about it, I got in a lot of trouble. I've been beaten, I've been punched, I've been kicked, I've been slapped, I've had my hair pulled out, I have had horrible things happen to me. I have been in near-death situations. I have been thrown across the room. I've had horrible things happen to me, you guys, all from religious people, so much. And I thought that I was so dirty and so disgusting and so tarnished and used up and damaged that I would try to sneak in the dark away from my abusers to go drink holy water from over by the statues, so that I could cleanse myself, to hopefully that would like somehow purify my insides from all the bad, horrible abuse that was going on in my life. It's twisted. It's twisted and tainted and strange. And in the mind of a child, when you're told something, you believe it. Because if you don't, you get in trouble. So that being my background, didn't really know what to think of the whole God thing, you guys. All I knew is that God was big and scary, and that if these people were in tight with God and they were the ones that were doing horrible, abusive things to me and I didn't have a lot of healthy food. I didn't have like normal clothes like other kids. I kind of wore like used weird clothes, and I didn't have like the normal cool kid shoes. And it was just a really weird, just back-asswards living, you guys. I mean, I lived out in the middle of hillbilly nowhere for part of this time, and it was just so weird. You guys, like 12 different levels of Jerry Springer, okay? For reals. That was my life. But yet God was in it all. Like, and you know.
But see, that's the thing, is that God wasn't in it all.
Thank you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting me, because God, how I know him now, and I think he's, I call him. God as I know it now, God as I know him now, I have a personal relationship with God where I feel like I can share and be vulnerable. And like, if you're watching and not listening, I'm like vulnerable, like where you're just wide open and you don't have your walls up and you're not hiding. Like, I'm vulnerable with God, and I'm like, this is just me, and this is who I am, and I'm pissed off about all that, and I need your help because it's affecting my life even now, 40 years later. And I feel understood, and I feel like I have a healing that's going on in my life that's taken a really long time. Shifting gears from the young childhood, from what Bobby and I are talking about on this topic of religious abuse, and how I was describing the ritual or the spiritual or the holy statue and all that other aspect of it. I sort of rebelled against that and was seeking some sort of spiritual something. I mean, I would pray that God would let me die. Like, I literally was praying to this God that everybody talked about. And like, I wanted to die. Like, if this is what this is about, please just let me die. Will you please just let me die? Because this is too bad. Like, if I'm such a bad person, can you please just like do the lightning bolt thing and like make it quick? Because I just want to die. Please let me die. And I'm just this little kid wanting to die, you guys, because it was so bad. So in the midst of all of that, here I am. I'm trying to go to school. I'm in middle school, like, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, whatever. And I'm like searching for some sort of way out. And I get invited to church. And I'm like, church? I'm like kind of scared to go to church because I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember going to church and bad stuff happened like on the way to church, and I was never ready on time, and I got my hand slammed in the car door, and it was just always bad. Bobby knows all this stuff. So, and if you guys have heard these stories before, please bear with me and just humor me for a moment, because there are viewers that need to hear that they're not alone, and that their stories are not, while they are unique, they are not solitary, and they are not ununderstandable. Like, we understand, and we understand that there are so many levels of rituals and religion and religiosity and different words that people use when they want to sound hyper spiritual. So I went to this church that I got invited to, fast forward 10 years from wanting to die and drinking holy water. And all these people were nice, and they were clapping, and they were so sweet. And they were like, I noticed immediately, I'm like, these are my peeps, right? And I've never felt that way ever again until I met all of you, until I've gotten to interact one-on-one and in group settings with each and every one of you survivors. I felt like those were my peeps. I was 14 years old, and I couldn't wait to go there again. I just wanted to keep going back. Just like how I can't wait to show up here every single Monday and look into a computer that I know you're looking back at me, and you're like, I'm not alone. This is amazing. So I went running down the aisle to receive Jesus, because they said that Jesus loved me, and that he loved me different than what everybody told me that he loved me, that he thought I was good, and that he couldn't love me any more or any less no matter what I did. And that was unfathomable to me, you guys, to be unconditionally loved. I had never heard that. I had never felt that. Bobby, did you ever experience unconditional love as a child?
No.
Excuse me.
No. I didn't experience unconditional love until Are you okay?
I am. I just got a little
Want me to whack you on the back?
A little tickle in my throat. Sorry about that. I got a little emotional, I think.
Until I started working with a wonderful therapist when I was probably like 26 or 27 years old. You know, my family was Catholic as well, but my Catholicism, my family's Catholicism was not a religion. It was a culture. They adhered to all the rules, but they didn't adhere to the rules because they believed in God. They adhered to the rules because you adhered to the rules. I mean, that was just the way it was. And that's a lot of what God was like when I was a child, was about rules. And I was taught that God was just standing there waiting with his lightning bolts and his fire and his brimstone to knock me down, because every possible scripture that could be used against me was used against me. You know, everything from thou shalt not dishonor thy father and thy mother. There you go. That's why I shouldn't say anything about what my father was doing. And that's why I shouldn't say anything to anyone else, because it would bring shame and dishonor on my family. And you can't tell me that that's exactly what that commandment is about. It's not. But that's what we mean when we say religion is used against you. It's used malignantly. You know, and then this morning in chat, we had people talking about how as a result of their abuse, they were called sinners by their family. And I went through that. I was told that it was my fault, that I had seduced my father, and therefore I was complicit in the sin. And so if I ever said anything, then people would, then I would be just as bad as he was, because I had enticed him, right? Like a 3-year-old can entice an adult male.
That makes me sick, Bobby. It makes me sick.
You know, but that is how religion can be contorted, to make it all okay and justified, you know. And then you have your family, which is deeply steeped in this Catholic tradition. You know, my world was the Catholic community within our town. I went to Catholic church. I went to Catholic Sunday school. I went to Catholic school. I didn't have friends who weren't Catholic. That circle that we traveled in was all Catholicism, and it was all used to keep me quiet. And when other people in the family learned about what was going on, shh, you don't bring shame. You don't question anything. My mother was a nun. How's that? Before she left the convent to marry my father. So that's how steeped in the Catholic faith my family was. But again, it wasn't about a relationship with God. It was about rules and shame and obedience. And if you stepped out of line, then woe be to you for the wrath of God to come crashing down upon your head, right? You know, it's like the whole family would step back and just wait because something terrible was going to happen to you. And that is a horrible pressure to put on a small child. Oh my goodness. You know, can you imagine the pressure that would put on a 4 or 5-year-old child who thinks that if they misstep 1 minute, that horrible things are going to happen to them? And then you abuse them and make them hold these horrible secrets inside? That is what we mean. And there is no God in that. There is no God in that. That's evil. And that's malignant use of religion.
That's like
if you grow up, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's like someone, it's the same as someone lying. Like and doing something really horrible and saying that you did it. Like, like oftentimes that happens in the world, like something bad will happen or whatever, and they'll say, oh, well, that's so-and-so's fault. And it's a lie, right? But for some reason it feels bigger and more horrible when someone does horrible things and they go, well, God told me to do that, or God's going to do this, or they just wield this like word around as though they're the ambassador, like the God ambassador,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're sitting there talking and telling this story, Bobby, and sharing your truth, and then for anyone to say that God made that happen or caused that to happen, I've been told that so many times, and it's just so wrong, you guys. It's just wrong. And we're not bashing religion. We're bashing the way religion is used to perpetuate abuse and silence people and have them hold in the shame and rot from the inside out and then stay stuck. Bobby and I have met people in our safe groups that have stories similar to hers and similar to mine, and they've never spoken to anyone ever, and they're like 60 or 70 years old. They've lived in shame their whole life. They've lived 70 years thinking it was all their fault, never sharing it with anyone because they were told that if they did, no one would ever believe them. You know how heartbreaking that is?
Or if they believed them, they would judge them horribly.
Yes, and
because it was their fault.
And I wanted to mention that we have a couple of people tweeting in. You guys tweet your questions or your comments using the hashtag No More Shame. We have a gentleman in our community named Donald, who's an amazing author. Look him up, Donald Cribbs. And he said that the church was the first place that caused him to feel shame and feel ashamed of what happened to him as a sexual abuse survivor, a childhood sexual abuse survivor. They caused him to feel shamed. They blamed him. And you guys, it would be different if that was an isolated incident, but it's not. It is not. I was at church, at my church. In fact, I wanted to talk about this. Most of you know this, but I have recently, over the past several months, I usually, for the past 5 years, and even prior to that, I served in ministry at my local fellowship. I go to a little non-denominational church here in a barn here in Kapalua on the island I live on. And it's wonderful. It's great. Everybody's wonderful. It's contemporary worship. It's great, whatever. I serve in ministry there. Love serving in ministry. I serve in prayer ministry. I love to pray for people. Love to pray for people by name. I just love to intercede and lift them up with a compassionate heart, letting them know that they're not alone, and pray with them. I love doing that. It's a gift and something I hold very dear to my heart. Ministry can be messy, okay? Because especially in this topic of religious abuse, and we're going to go into this at the very bottom of the one page. I'm probably going to shut up here pretty soon and turn it over to Bobby, and she's going to discuss most of the whole entire one page. And when we get down to the very, very bottom, I'm going to share some stuff with you all. And I want to just briefly mention, I've taken a step back over the past several months. I've attended fewer home group studies. I even have stayed home some Sunday morning myself. Every single time I was getting ready to do something church related or do something for God, when I was doing it out of compulsion. And when I feel like I'm doing something out of compulsion, I've learned that that's not healthy. That's how I perpetuated my eating disorder. I was compelled to lose weight, so I compulsively withheld calories. I was compelled to over-exercise. I was compelled and compulsively acted in certain ways, and that's how I perpetuate unhealthy behaviors in my own life. As I have become more aware of where I'm at in my own recovery journey from trafficking, abuse, molestation, rape, all of it, I've learned that anything I am doing under compulsion is unhealthy. So I have chosen over the past several months to a year to step back and not attend as many religious events or church events or social events in general. If I'm feeling like I'm doing it out of compulsion, I politely say no and I stay home. And I will share with my husband, I need you to not shame me or judge me. I'm just not going. And he's gotten to the point where he understands that. And it's healthy for me in my recovery journey to put myself first. And honestly, I'm just going to say it. I think God wants me to do that. I think he wants me to take care of myself. I think he knows that I've sacrificed myself on the altar of the entire family, my whole family, and all of their wants and their needs and their desire to abuse and exploit. And I've sacrificed myself, whether openly and freely or out of manipulation and people pleasing. I've done it my whole life. Guess what? He doesn't want me to do it anymore. I have freedom. I have freedom to say, you know what? I think I'm going to stay home this week. Like, you go without me. You have fun. It's all good. I'm fine. I'll go next week, maybe, if I feel like it. And that's okay. I just want to look at you guys in the face and tell you, if you're struggling with the whole go to church or do something out of compulsion thing, you've been given a free will choice. The God that I know, that I believe in, and whether you believe in anything or not is totally your choice. And I respect you and admire you just as much, no matter what your belief system is. The God that I know, and any God that is healthy, I'll just say that, I'll throw that out there, is going to give you a free will choice. You have a choice to do what you want to do. You can go, you cannot go. You can do, you cannot do. You can feel this way or not feel this way. It's your choice. And any religion, religious system, or anyone that tells you that you don't have a choice, time to think twice if that's a safe religion or a safe person or a safe system. Because I'm telling you right now, when you're not given a choice, it's not safe. And that's my 2 cents on that. So I've taken some steps back.
I think that's interesting because I had so much emotional damage and so much of my belief system had been mucked up by what I had been taught about God and religion as a child. I was taught, and I think I've talked about this before, that God brings difficult circumstances into those he loves the most because he wants to refine them into the character of Christ. And I know that's based on a scripture somehow, but I also know that's not exactly what it means.
No, that's one of the scriptures that's used to abuse people.
Right. And so I was told, well, aren't you lucky? You're having hard things happen to you because you're special. And like Athena used to pray for God to die, I used to pray, please God, I don't want to be special anymore. I just take the special away. I don't want to be special if this is it. I had so many things to work out. For a while, I didn't, after I grew up and moved out of the house, I didn't believe in God. I went to so many different churches. I explored so many things trying to find a healthy faith. And I ended up, I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not sure what I'm doing to my microphone tonight. And when I was in the midst of my really difficult recovery work, I came to a sense of peace about what I came to call my coffee shop God. And I know that sounds strange, so I'm going to describe that. That God was like someone that I could go in and sit down at a coffee shop, like at a Starbucks, and both of us can get a cup of coffee, and we can sit down and we can just talk for hours. And it's not about me being at his feet. It's not about him judging me. It's not about anger. It's not about rules. It's not about anything but pure one-to-one relationship. And that is what healed my relationship with faith, was my shifting that whole paradigm in my head from God being a judgmental person who sought to bring suffering into my life into, it's a relationship with someone who loves and cares about me. Doesn't require that I go to church every week. Doesn't require that I follow ABC and rules. Because that's not, for me, what it's all about. Okay? And like Athena said, we support you as you find what it's all about for you. Now, when I say things like that, I've had people say back to me, well, you're just telling people they can invent their own religion. No, I'm not saying that. Any healthy faith promotes love of oneself and unconditional love of others. Okay, unconditional love of yourself and unconditional love of others. And respect for all human beings. And if part of your faith involves a higher power, then it promotes a loving relationship with your higher power. Okay? So if someone's going to come at me and say, well, someone's going to make up their own religion about, like killing people. Well, no, because that doesn't promote a healthy relationship with yourself and others. That doesn't promote a loving relationship with a higher power. That's not faith. So if you find a path that works for you, that it is about that unconditional love of yourself, that unconditional love of all others, and that unconditional love and relationship with your higher power, go for it. It's that simple. It really is. It's just that simple. And we will support you.
Yeah. I want to say something on the heels of what you just said, Bobby, and I would love for you to help me say this, because I don't know if I always say it the way I want to say it, but please comment, okay?
Okay.
So you know me like better than I know myself sometimes. You know me very, very well. And you know that when I write, and the books I've written thus far, the 2 books are written, I speak a lot of Christianese in these books. I speak from my faith belief system. It's my faith in God that I speak from. I speak from my perspective, and I share what's helped me in my journey, because I can only share my truth, y'all. Okay,
yep.
My truth is my truth, and my recovery journey is mine and mine alone. And my truth, if I were to just spit it out in one sentence, is I firmly believe that my faith in God is the only reason I'm alive, because I was suicidal. I've been suicidal multiple times. Every time I've had weird flashbacks of my abuse throughout my life. And then just even most recently, as like a year or 2 ago, when they hit you hard and you just don't know right from wrong, left from right, up from down, I have severe suicidal ideation. And the only thing that has saved me from that slippery, slimy pit of despair and helplessness and hopelessness is I felt like God was reaching down and like pulling me up out of that pit and saving my life. So that's the perspective I write from in the 2 books that I've written so far. My 3rd book coming out is more of a secular book. But I just want to share with you that regardless of my belief in God and my higher power, I will never, ever, ever, ever judge any of you and tell you what to do and how to live your life. Now, I realize my books are coming from a teaching perspective and a mentoring perspective, but it's because I'm sharing my journey and my truth, and I'm giving you hope, and I'm saying it's possible, it's possible, it's possible, because I'm living proof. I'm not saying you should be doing what I did, and you are supposed to be doing what I did. I will never, ever say that, and that's not, any of my clients that are watching right now, they're like, yeah, of course. I don't coach from a perspective of this is my belief system and I'm forcing this on you. I don't take on private clients if I'm not able to share a little bit of myself and a little bit of my faith journey. But Bobby, I don't feel like I properly and effectively illustrate and communicate where I'm coming from on a faith basis sometimes, because I can sound very preachy and I do sort of speak Christianese. So I don't know if I said what I meant to say, or if you know what I'm trying to say to everybody, but I'm just hoping that it came across clearly.
Yes, that Athena speaks from her personal perspective, but she strongly believes that it is her personal perspective, and she's not putting it out there as the right way for everyone. If the things that she shares about her faith are helpful to you, then by all means, take them and use them in your recovery. But I also promise you that there is so much wisdom in what she shares about recovery and being a survivor and her personal experience as a survivor. And there's much wisdom in what she says on how to get from point A to get to point B. So anything that we share from our personal perspective is just that. It's our personal perspective. But both of us are all for personal choice. And, you know, we've talked about that a lot tonight, and we'll talk about it some more. Faith is a personal choice.
Thank you, Bobbi. Thank you.
We talked about that a little bit this morning in chat when we talked about forgiveness. You know, forgiveness is all wrapped up in the faith issue, and forgiveness is a personal choice too. And forgiveness means different things to different people. So we're not going to tackle forgiveness tonight as a separate issue. We already have a video out about that. I believe it is from 2014, maybe that far back. One of our earlier videos, yeah. So
we might need to revisit the topic, because I know there was a lot of talk about forgiveness this morning, and I almost feel like some of it bears repeating and sort of like specifying. And we didn't really do a Q&A on faith or forgiveness. It was before we were taking people's questions and answers. It was just sort of us just talking. And we didn't start doing live Q&A until January of 2015. And so all of those old videos from 2014, nobody's really sending us their questions. We just went off of the questions that we had been emailed from people.
Right. And people had brought up in chat.
Yeah. Oh, before we move on to our one page, Bobbi, I wanted to share the emails that I had been receiving. But I'm not going to read the emails. I think I'm just going to like share what they were about. So is that cool?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So over the past about a month and a half, you guys, I've been receiving, I feel like this is like so high up. Okay. Over the past month or month and a half, I've been receiving a lot of emails from, I have four that are just recently, but they've been coming in more frequently. And it's all on the topic of either religious abuse or trafficking or ritual abuse, and specifically pastors and elders in the church sexually abusing and exploiting. And for all of you out there, exploiting and trafficking are synonymous. When you exploit a human being, in other words, you're doing something to them to receive some sort of gain, that's called trafficking. So for all of you fantastic people out there in the planet that think you're just so coy and cool, you're not. You're traffickers. And I have these emails that are coming in that they raise every hair on my body, you guys. You know how I feel about this subject. I was severely exploited as a child. I was lent out, traded, given away. I mean, for pennies on the dollar, for dental work, for manicures, pedicures, you name it, okay? It's degrading. It's inhumane. I'm receiving these emails. Not only is one of the emails, I'm not going to say he or she, okay, because I was not given permission to share these people's personal stories, but I'm going to share the content of it with you without revealing who they are. So one of them is a pastor's child who was sexually exploited by the father, who was the pastor for years and years and years. And then also the same thing happened to the siblings. And then the siblings were forced to have sex with each other, all within the religious system. And then they all got in trouble for it. Another email came and the same thing was going on, but they got in trouble for it, and the church turned a blind eye to it. This is in a Christian denomination, you all. Christian denomination. So yeah, trafficking and exploitation and all of this crazy stuff going on in the church is alive and well right here in the good old heartland of America, USA. And I received an email from someone in Canada over the weekend while I was away for the weekend, and I just got the email this morning. about a similar situation in the church, about someone in the church sexually exploiting and then saying no one's ever going to believe you. It's your word over mine. I have been employed here for 25 years. Who are you? This is someone in Canada. And then I have other people that have emailed Bobby and I both on our public email, our joint email account from the UK, talking about the religious system there and a lot of sexual abuse going on in the churches and the schools. So this is a very, very, very horrific topic, but it needs to be talked about. This just needs to be talked about. And I'm coming at this from you're a survivor, you're not alone. Please come and heal in safety and know that you're not alone, and don't feel the need. If there's anything I can do to encourage you to not keep silent and let it rot you from the inside out, and keeping it like a secret because somehow you think that if you tell or if you talk or that it was your fault or whatever, you were not given consent. You weren't given the opportunity to consent. All these emails that we're receiving about the pastors and the family members and the church saying it's okay, they turned a blind eye, no one's ever going to believe you. Who's going to believe you? It's you versus the church. It's sickening. It's really sickening, because I really would like to believe that there's just something pure left in a relationship that I can have with God and church. And I'll go a little bit further deeper into the safety issues and boundaries with regards to church towards the bottom of our one page, but I just needed to share with you and thank each and every one of you who sent those emails. They are not going unnoticed. I see every single one of them. I do. And I'm deeply, deeply grieved by what you're going through, and you're not alone. There are many other emails pouring in on a daily basis. So, Bobby, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. In one of my sleepless nights in the last couple of weeks, as I'm laying in bed, strolling through the news feed on my phone, I came across an article put out by the Seattle Catholic Diocese. And they, for some reason, something having to do with a lawsuit, had released the names of, I think it was 70 some Catholic priests who were known, not suspected, but known to be abusers and pedophiles, who had been assigned to churches in Washington State. And so I looked through the list. And sure enough, right there in the middle of everyone, steal my breath from my body, is the Catholic priest who was affiliated with my Catholic school.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember him. I remember him so strongly. I can remember one time he took a bunch of us for pizza, and he was leering at the waitresses.
Oh my.
And he said to us, just because I can't eat the food doesn't mean I can't stare at the menu.
Oh my gosh.
And it mentioned some lawsuits against him and the church and the years that these altar boys had been abused. And I know it has to be someone, their names aren't given, just initials, but I know it has to be someone that I knew. And it knocked me. It knocked me to my feet, off my feet for a bit. And that is just like you said, that's a perfect description of how the church hides people who abuse, and they justify it, and they explain it, and they don't address it. Instead, they shame the victims. So you're right, Athena, it's real. It's out there. It's not, it's in our midst. And we really want to let those of you who have had that happen to you know that you aren't alone. And at the end of the video, we're going to talk about ways that you can interact with us and how you can get into some of our safe support groups. So you're not alone. And it's hard stuff. But hopefully we have some information that might help you this week. So I'm going to go ahead and put up the one page. Is that okay, Athena?
Yeah, that sounds good. There's a lot of synonymous talk with church and cult. And we just want to be really clear, you guys. We're not calling anyone's church a cult. We're not calling anyone's cult the church. We're not using the words church and cult synonymously. We're saying that we're respectful of your guys' beliefs, and that it's definitely possible that some churches out there are under the word church. They actually are a cult, and we're not here to pass judgment on any of that, to say any of that is true or false. We're here to provide support for you, the survivors, and let you know that you're not alone if religious abuse was a part of your child abuse. I just wanted to throw that out there before we put the one page up.
No, nope. This is about you guys. That's why we're here to share. Okay. Let's see if we can do the present to everyone. Okay, so here's our one page. Like Athena said earlier, we do a one-page resource for you every week that is about the topic that we're discussing. And it can be, you can have it free of charge. You can have all of our one pages that we've done for the last almost 2 years here now. And they're on our website, NoMoreShameProject.com. And there's a tab that says downloadables, and just click on that and you can get it from there. Feel free to print them all off, put them in a binder, and keep them around so that when a particular topic rises for you, you can have a one-page summary, quick and short summary of what the issue is, and then some tips on how to deal with it. So this is our religious abuse one page, and the introductory sentence up there says, unfortunately, religious abuse is often a part of our childhood abuse. Rather than a belief system that fosters love, hope, and faith, religion is often used by our abusers and/or enablers to justify their behavior, shame us, blame us, and keep us silent. And remember that the whole purpose of shame is to keep you silent and to keep you isolated. Okay, when you are filled with shame, one of our natural instincts is to isolate, because we don't want other people to see our shame, and we don't want to be shamed anymore. And when you're isolated, you can't tell anybody. So that's why shame is such a powerful weapon in the hands of our abusers and enablers, because it silences us and it isolates us. So we wanted to give some examples of what we've heard about types of religious abuse. So over the course of our work with survivors, we've both heard things such as abusers using religion to justify their abuse. God told me to do this, or this is what God wants me to do. Okay, misusing Bible verses and church doctrine to force our obedience. And this is what I talked about earlier, things that were said to me. God said to always obey your mother and your father. And I was raised that even to question in my head, a church teaching, a Bible verse was a sin. You couldn't question. You couldn't question in school. You couldn't question in church. You couldn't question at home. Questioning was sinful. And so when I was told things like, God wants me to do this to you, and I even thought in my mind, maybe that's not right, all of a sudden, guess what? I was a bad person because I even thought that. It was such a mind trick. Using religion to blame survivors and declare them complicit in the abuse. You caused me to sin. You can't tell anyone, or I will let them know of your sins. An abuser using their position as a priest, pastor, minister, or church leader to gain a child's trust and obedience. An abuser using their attendance at church or involvement in organized religion to portray the image of a person who would never be suspected of abuse. Okay? I can't even begin to tell you how many survivors I have worked with who have said, who was going to believe me? My mom and dad were active in the church. Everyone thought they were wonderful. No one would ever believe that they would have done such a thing. And I have also heard of abusers saying that to survivors. No one is going to believe you. Athena mentioned that earlier. When religion is misused in this manner, it can create not only confusion for us about religion and faith, but a powerful distrust and dislike of it as well. We may grow up feeling angry at God, rejecting the organized religion of our family or any organized religion at all. We may decide not to have a faith at all. All of these are understandable, and they're very typical reactions to religious abuse. Faith is a very personal thing, and no one has the right to tell us that we are doing it wrong. If religious abuse was a part of your childhood, and you want help coping with and healing your faith relationship, consider these tips and strategies. Okay? And the first one is to recognize the difference between religion, faith, and spirituality. Not every religion involves, well, this is my personal opinion, not every religion involves what I would call a healthy God. Okay? So the God that is in the midst of my family system's religion is definitely not the same God that I have a relationship with now. So religion is a set of organized doctrines and beliefs. And that is different from faith, which is a relationship with a higher power. And then spirituality is a huge, it takes in a lot of ground. And it can cover everything from energy, people who talk about being light workers, healers. Spirituality can involve beliefs in the chakras. It can involve, you can have spiritual beliefs that are in line with Eastern philosophies, Western philosophies. Many survivors that I work with have gone out and taken things from various different spiritual fields that work for them and put them together into a spiritual belief system that works for them. And I completely support that. Laura, who is one of our family members who's with us, she's one of our Aussie family members. She said tonight on the Twitter stream that her beliefs are now in kindness.
Yes, all kindness-based. Everything is kindness-based.
And I think that's fantastic.
I think it's beautiful.
I support her 100%. That is how simple it can be. Okay? It doesn't have to be pomp and circumstance and, pages and pages and pages of written rules. And it can be that simple. So cast your net wide. And you can avoid the places that your family, so to speak, fished from when you were a child. Explore a variety of faith traditions and belief systems. Some may feel more comfortable and healthier for you. And that is one of the things that I did after I left the Catholic Church when I moved out of the house. I studied everything from Buddhism to Hinduism to a variety of different Protestant. I read the Talmud, I read the Quran, and I just went through, and if you do all that, I promise you, you will see some amazing themes run the same between all of them. But I took what worked for me. I took what spoke wisdom to me. And I think it's an amazing way to explore faith and spirituality, is to just go read what other people have thought and see if you can find what fits for you. Healthy faith fosters love, compassion, and other-centeredness. Okay, this is important. Other-centeredness. It does not support me-centeredness. That is not a healthy religion. That is not a healthy faith-based system. I must confess that one of my pet peeves are evangelists or preachers, or whatever word you want to use, who stand from the pulpit and make pleas for money so that they can have something like a private plane. To me, that's a red flag. That is not an indication that your faith is healthy. Now, if you want to stand in the pulpit and say, you guys, the holidays are coming up, and there are 10,000 children in this town who are not going to get presents, please, let's really give from the heart today. Let's raise money for that. That is other-centeredness. So there, I'm off my soapbox. If a religion, church, or person of faith does not support these three things as a priority, approach them with caution, as they may be unhealthy, toxic organizations and/or people. Beware of people who tell you what you can and cannot believe, express, or practice in your faith. It's okay to be angry with God. It is. It is okay to be angry with God. I promise you.
He can handle it. If he's God, he can handle it. He can handle your questions.
Yes. It's okay to forgive on your own timetable, if at all. It's okay to question and doubt. Again, faith is a personal thing. You have the right and the privilege, okay? You have the privilege of making your own choices about what is best for you.
Hey, Bobby.
Yeah.
Kalisha says that she was told that she had evil inside of her, and that was the reason that she was causing good people to sin. And I just want you to hear me, Kalisha. I hope you're listening. I know you're tweeting, honey. I hope you hear me. I want to tell you that you're not alone. I was told that I was the devil's child, and that's why bad things happened to me. And they even gave me proof that I was the devil's child. They said, do you know when your birthday is? Yep, it's on Halloween, the devil's day. Everyone knows Halloween is the devil's day, and that's the day you were born, Athena. So you are the devil's child, born on the devil's day, and that's why bad things are happening to you. And then my mother would turn around and say something completely opposite and say, you were a gift from the Blessed Mother, and that's All Saints Day, and all the saints are rejoicing because you were born, and yet I was being abused. And so it was so effing twisted, you guys. Talk about a mind screw. Kalisha, honey, you're not alone. I hope you can hear me. Bobby.
Athena, we've come to the last bullet point.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I want to, I'm going to read it, and then I want you to share what you want to share. Do you want me to, I want to read it, and then you want me to stop screen sharing so everyone can see you?
Yeah, that would be fine. I want you to give your commentary on the last bullet point first, and then I'll sort of step up onto my soapbox, because this is sort of my, this is my passion point.
Okay. Okay. And this is important. Okay. Approach your choice to attend a church, fellowship, meeting, gathering, or study, just like you would approach anything else which is new to you. such as a new job, a community center, a meetup, a book club, or a health club. Proceed with healthy boundaries, wisdom, and appropriate levels of sharing. You know, and I know what Athena is saying here, and she continues on and says it is important to note that just because it is a church does not mean it is a safe place to share vulnerably about your life history or abuse experiences. And just because it's a church doesn't mean it's safe in any respect. Okay? Not just it's not a safe place to share vulnerably, but it may not be a safe place in any shape or form. So I think those of us, especially those of us who were raised steeped in faith traditions, we were raised with the belief that even though we knew and we experienced otherwise, that church was filled with holy, wonderful people, and that it was the house of God, and within any house of God, you were safe, right? Because it was filled with Christians, and Christians are wonderful people, or you know, whatever your spiritual belief might be. But unfortunately, that's not always true. So if you make the choice to approach a church or any kind of a faith-based group, we don't want you to walk in with the assumptions that because it's a church, it's safe. Approach it with the same healthy skepticism that you would any other circumstance. And keep your boundaries. Keep your boundaries until such time as that church or that group or that meeting has earned your trust. Yes, churches have to earn your trust. People of faith have to earn your trust. There's no gimme. There's no immunity. There's no pass go and collect $200 straight away just because someone declares himself to be a person of faith. They have to earn your trust. So that's my take on what is being said here. And I know that Athena has some awesome personal experience. I'm going to stop sharing so we can see her lovely face.
I like seeing your lovely face too, though.
But when I'm screen sharing, you can see my face.
I know.
You see my screen.
Only when I shut up and I stop talking can I see you. Okay, so this last bullet point, you guys, I really want to sort of drive this home. I realize we are right about 1 minute away from doing our saying aloha to all of you who are watching live, and then transitioning into newcomers who need to get connected and set up in safe community and safe groups, globally accessible safe groups that are safe from predators. So, but I just want to say this on the topic of that last bullet point, you guys, about being safe in the church, okay? I want to share a very personal experience with you because this is relevant, and I know that I'm not the only one that's experienced this, because every time I've ever brought this up, I receive a flood of emails or messages or DMs or tweets or something saying that the same thing happened to them. So I'm going to say it here on this video, and I just want to just look at you and just tell you, when I was beginning one of the layers of my recovery journey, I've been sort of in recovery solid straight for about 16 years now, but it goes in layers. I've been sort of studying and researching and reading papers and thesis and dissertations and books and videos and you name it for about 15, 16 years now. But during one of the layers of my recovery journey, I found a local study called Shelter from the Storm. And it was at a wonderful church on the whole other side of the island. And I felt like I really belonged. Like I had waited my whole life to feel like I could just show up and be me. And it was a study for survivors. It was for survivors of sexual abuse. And I got a wonderful message from a friend / colleague earlier today. Same exact thing. I feel like I'm fully alive and like I really belong. I can just show up and be me when I'm around my survivor peeps. So here I was going to this study on the other side of the island at a different church, okay? Different than the church that I was attending on this side of the island on Sundays. I would drive to the other side of the island a few times a week, however often they would get together, or I had an opportunity, whenever I had an opportunity to get together with these gals, I would get together with them, because it just, when you feel like you belong and you're able to share your abuse history with someone that doesn't marginalize you, minimize the abuse, blame you, cast aside your truth, or ignore you when you actually are heard for the first time, it's pretty magical. So here I was driving back and forth to the other side of the island, okay? And we were dealing on the topic of isolation, and how isolation is the antithesis of recovery from anything. When you begin to isolate and you're away from everybody, it's like that one gazelle or antelope that is trotting along. He's the one who gets picked off and gets eaten by like the lion, right? So when you're in community with other people, you're stronger together. They reflect back to you your truth that you can't see. They show you the goodness they see in you when all you feel is shame. They notice in you the growth that all you feel is being stifled or stuck. It is imperative that you are surrounded by other survivors that have lived a similar life, in that they know the trauma and the pain of being sexually violated or hit or punched or ignored or manipulated or had love withheld from them. It's important and vital for your recovery to be in a community like this, where you can show up, warts and all, and have someone say, you are welcome here. So here I was driving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It is an hour and a half sometimes, y'all, to drive back one way. And so I was doing like sometimes 10, 12 hours in the car every week, just so I could go be around people that understood me. I made a mistake. This is on the last bullet point on the downloadable, talking about how just because you're in a church doesn't mean that it's a safe place, okay? And this is what I mean. I was volunteering at this time in the children's ministry. I love being around the babies, and just for some reason it was very healing for me to see babies happy and being loved and cared for, and just playing toys, and like I would read them books, and some of them would, like throw up, or they'd need, just like do normal human things. But it was neat to be able to almost experience that for the first time, because I didn't experience that when I was growing up. I don't have any of those type of memories. So it was very healing for me. So I was volunteering in the children's ministry, and something happened, and I was very, very, very triggered. Only I didn't really know that it was a quote unquote trigger. I just was very triggered. And I had to remove myself, and I needed to go tell one of the women that was volunteering with me, because you're never just left alone with a whole bunch of kids. Like when you're volunteering in a situation that is safe, you have other adults around you. There's always accountability if it's safe, you guys. That's another red flag that we didn't mention here on this one page. So I told one of the gals that I needed to remove myself for a moment, and that I would be back, and that I was really struggling recently with some isolation issues, and it was just something that had come up, and I would be back as soon as I could. Speaking to her and sort of taking for granted that because I knew this woman was an abuse survivor. Now, mind you, it was on this side of the island. She wasn't a part of my safe group, but I knew that she was a domestic violence survivor, and we had like shared some of our story together. So, we were we were there a little bit. She shamed me for needing to remove myself. She shamed me not only that day, but forever after that. She sort of like put me like 2 rungs out because I needed to step away for a minute. Like, really? So this is what I'm getting at. There's a point to all this. When you step into a church and you decide to sort of go, okay, I think I want to go to church. I think I like that. I think I really want to recultivate this relationship with God. I was shamed. I was told all this stuff. Maybe that's not the truth. I want to find my truth. I want to reach out to a higher power. I want to get to know God. Is it the God of the Bible? What is it that I believe in? I want to encourage you to chase after that and to go on that journey looking for what you want to believe in. And and finding that personal relationship with God if that's what you're seeking, right? But when you step into the church, okay, I want you to remember this if you take away nothing from this webinar tonight, okay? The church is not a country club for the safe people of the world that just want to love on you and show you compassion. The church is a hospital for the broken. And everyone there is struggling with something. And there's something that they're struggling with could be in direct conflict to something that you're struggling with, or they just could have just the lack of wherewithal to even show an ounce of compassion to you. If you decide that you're going to share your whole journey or your whole history or your whole pain or whatever it is you're going through with someone because they say, how can I pray for you today? Or you go up for prayer, or you reach out to someone and let them know what's going on in your life. That's why on the last bullet point on this one page, it says appropriate levels of sharing. I should never have shared my truth with that girl and told her what was going on with me. I just should have said, I'm having a little bit of a moment. I'm going to step away. I'll be back soon. I didn't need to tell her that it was abuse related or anything like that, and I did. And it was unsafe for me to do so. It was unsafe because the church is not filled with safe people. Are there safe people at church? Yeah, there are. I attend a local fellowship, and I consider myself to be a safe person because I don't judge others and shame them, and I'm trauma informed, and I'm compassionate, and I put myself in a place where I'm able to love other people on a level that is respectful. Not everyone is in that place. Not everyone is a safe person. The church is a place filled with safe people to the degree that your gym or your community center or your health club or your book club is filled with safe people. You don't know. You just don't know. Having it be in the building that's called a church is not a prerequisite that it's a place where you can just throw your walls down and be vulnerable and tell everybody your whole story, hoping that you're just going to be loved on and taken care of and ministered to the way Jesus would have. And you know what? It breaks my heart because guess what? This whole God and Jesus and the faith that I have and the God of the Bible and all of that, if this were the days where Jesus was walking around on the earth during the 3 years that he walked around and he ministered to people, if I was struggling with something and I was open and just raw and vulnerable and real and said, I'm struggling with this, he wouldn't shame me. He wouldn't shame me and withhold his love from me every day forever because I had to step away. That's not how he would treat me. But that's how the church treated me. And that's how the church treats a lot of people. A lot of people come up and they need to share what's going on in their life and they get shamed. They get shamed. They get treated poorly. They get marginalized. And you want to know what's even worse? And this is when I'm going to step down off of my soapbox in just a second here. The worst part of it all is the Jesus Band-Aid. And I do a talk about this when I go and I do speaking engagements. Excuse me. The Jesus Band-Aid is when someone completely broken and what I call hemorrhaging out of all orifices, they're just ripped apart. They are broken beyond broken. They've lost the will to live. They have the courage, it takes a lot of courage, to come up and ask someone if they would pray for them, or they have the courage to share what's going on in their life so they can receive a little bit of compassion. And the person they share with basically just prays some little canned prayer and sends them on their way. Like, well, brother, God is bigger than those problems, and I'll be praying for you. It's like, the reason I call it a Jesus Band-Aid, it's like when you go to the dentist or the doctor, or you go and you get a shot, and they stick a Band-Aid on you, pat you on the bottom, and send you on your way. It's a bunch of bullshit. That is wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. No one in the church should ever be in a position of leadership, of ministry, and stand there and invite someone to come up and be ministered to. And the people that come pour their life out, pour their guts, pour their story, share their truth. And then you just pray a little canned prayer and throw a couple of little scriptures on it and send them on their way. I'm sorry, but that's inhumane. And it's just degrading. And it's wrong. And that's why people hate the church. That's just one reason why people hate the church, besides all the other reasons we've discussed in the last hour or so. So, yeah, a little fired up over here. I have a deep, deep, deep disdain for people who are in ministry and leadership and pretend to care and just slap a couple of scriptures on it and send people on their way, never even with another further thought. Do they follow up with them? Do they sit with them? Do they cry with them? Do they learn about them? Do they really, 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 really care? Do they really listen? Oftentimes, no. And that's just wrong. We are doing people a huge disservice. And I think I need to stop right about now because I get pretty fired up and I could go on and on and on. And oh my goodness, we've gained viewers. I thought I'd lose some people there. Hello, everyone. We are glad you're here. I'm done talking about the church and the Jesus Band-Aid. But Bobby, do you have any comments on that? I know that I have worn your ear out on this topic, but do you have anything to say in addition to what I just said?
I don't attend church anymore. And a lot of it is because of the reasons that you talk about. And I have just been so burnt so many times. So now my spiritual practice does not involve attending church. Will it ever in the future? I don't know about that. But I still have a very deep and abiding faith. I still have many spiritual practices, but for me, it doesn't involve church right now because every time I seem to step into that place, my foot seems to get trod upon. So it's hard, but you know what? It's okay. I don't feel judged, and I know that I get just as much out of my faith relationship as perhaps people who go every Sunday and interact with everyone. So,
Bobby, I just have to ask you, can you and I share briefly? Can we just share briefly about the time that we went to church together?
Oh, mercy.
Bobby and I went to church together. We were like, oh yeah, we're hanging out together. Let's go to church together. We're going to meet up with some friends, right?
Yes.
We walk in. This is the reason. This is just bothers me. Bobby, do you remember that woman?
I do.
Okay. Do you want to tell everybody what that woman said to us, or do you want me to?
Wow. See, I've even blanked out what she said. I was just so horrified by what she did.
I'll gladly tell it. Oh my, I've already just retold this story last week. We walked in the back of the church getting ready to meet up with some friends, you guys, and this woman comes over and touches me and moves me aside and says,
yeah,
you need to stop and stand right there. You need to wait. The pastor is speaking. I'm like, I was just trying to sneak in the back of the church and go sit in the seats that were saved for me. And I'm a visitor. It was my first time there. And she accosted me. She really touched me in a way that was not.
Was very angry.
Oh,
she was, yeah.
I mean, if the visitors at my church where I attend acted like that, I would just, I don't know what I would do. I'm in leadership. I'd probably have to sit them down and talk to them. But my goodness gracious, you guys, Bobby and I were sneaking in the back of the church quietly, walking behind everyone silently to go sit in the seats that were saved for us, way over here. And she put her arm out and she was acting crazy. She even gave me this dirty look.
She was very angry.
The dirtiest look she could find. I mean, it was like...
if we hadn't had people waiting for us to show up who we were going to have lunch with after church, I would have just left.
Me too. For reals, y'all. You guys, to be treated that way in a house of God. And I'm a woman of faith. I enjoy being in fellowship with other people. I enjoy contemporary worship. I enjoy it all. I enjoy it. I have healthy boundaries, and I have appropriate levels of sharing, and I don't allow toxic people into my sacred space. But that woman, if there was not people waiting, if there were not, like what Bobby just said, if we did not have people waiting for us that we had pre-planned ahead of time and we're going to go out to eat afterwards and the whole deal and whatever, you guys, we would have been so out of there. We would have just been let's go to Cheesecake Factory. Because, man, it was so inappropriate. And if you can, okay, think about if you decided to go to a book club, you decided to join a community event, you decided to go to your friend's kid's football game, whatever it was, and you were sneaking up into the back to go sit down with people who are waiting for you, and then someone accosted you and tried to like shame you for not being silent enough or not being invisible enough. Talk about a trigger. Hello. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. It's wrong on 100 different levels. It's wrong, but the fact that it was in a church, it's like wrong, in my opinion. So that is just reminiscent and just an ingredient of the way religion and the whole pride and the whole, hellfire and damnation and just all of it. You guys, it's just so pulled out of context and wrong, and used as a weapon to silence people or manipulate them or shame them. And it is just wrong. And so that's like, whoo, that's the capsule of everything we're trying to say here. You're not alone. And we want you to pursue, if you want or if you don't, something that is safe, something that feels in alignment with who you are, something that allows you to remain in integrity with yourself, something that feels like you are heard and you can be yourself. If you are in a faith or a religious situation where you are not able to be free or be yourself or be vulnerable or feel ministered to or cared for, I want to encourage you to perhaps just keep looking, because unless you're given a free will choice and unless you're given a safe place to be vulnerable within the context of having, like, sort of feeling it out and having safe boundaries and appropriate levels of sharing at first until you establish consent of hearing and sharing and listening and all of that, you guys, we just want you to find something that feels safe for you. You've lived through enough. You've survived enough. You're on this channel because you're an adult survivor of child abuse, maybe even childhood sexual abuse, maybe even trafficking, maybe ritual abuse, maybe a lot of different types of abuse. And we're here to tell you that it's wrong, and it's okay for you to keep on searching for something. If you're desiring some sort of a faith or a belief system or a religious relationship of some sort, please keep looking until you feel safe, because you are the only one that's going to know if it's safe or not. Bobby, you have anything you want to tag on that?
No, I completely agree. Again, it's a personal choice, and we support whatever personal choice you make as long as it supports a healthy relationship with yourself and with others. Religion is in faith-based programs that are exclusionary, not so healthy. So it's all about love, compassion, other-centeredness. So we encourage you to search for anything that fits those things and feels good to you. So I think I am going to put up our contact information. So as Athena says, this is the point in the broadcast where if you've been here for a while, we wish you good evening.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, if you guys have been a part of our community for a while and you're already plugged into Safe Community, we're connected on Facebook. You have access to one of our globally accessible safe groups where you get to heal with other survivors apart from predators. Then we bid you a fond farewell, and we thank you for being the reason we show up every week and the best part of our Monday, the best part of our week, actually. But yeah, I think that's. But I always ask you if you have anything you want to say, Bobby. Like if you want to say anything to anybody.
No, you did. I didn't mean that you had done it wrong. I was trying to remember the next thing that you said. I was just trying to remember, because I knew you were tweeting and I didn't want to jerk you away from interacting with peeps. Yes.
Multitasking is so hard, you guys. It's really a hard thing to do. I just don't do it very well sometimes.
Well, and it can be really hard when our executive functioning isn't doing well.
Yeah, like on triggering topics like this. So, but we love you guys and we appreciate each and every one of you. And we will most likely see you tomorrow night on Sex Abuse Chat, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern. This is the second of 3 Twitter chats that we do every single week, like we mentioned before, and the first of which is 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. That's CSAQT. This is hashtag No More Shame, and tomorrow is the OG original sex abuse chat with Rachel Thompson and Bobby Parrish. And thanks for being here with us tonight. We're going to transition into contact info. See ya.
Yes, and next week, I forgot, I'm sorry, I should have said this. Next week, we're going to talk about learned helplessness. So
yes,
come back for that topic.
Learned helplessness is huge, you guys. It's not just in our childhood. It starts in childhood, but we have learned helplessness all throughout our lives. And it causes us to set ourselves up for failure sometimes. And then, don't miss this, the following week, we are going to be talking about problems in intimacy as a child abuse survivor. And it's going to be a loaded one, you guys. I just had some stuff come up recently with my husband. I'm just going to be very, very real about just intimacy in general for survivors, specifically sexual abuse survivors. I've touched on this previously at different speaking engagements live, but I've never talked about it like this. And I've even recorded videos for our private groups, but I've never talked about it publicly on our YouTube channel. So please, come back and listen to Bobby share and listen to me share our personal journeys. And we'll also have a one-page of course, and that's on the topic of intimacy. And that's in 2 weeks. And 1 week we'll be discussing learned helplessness.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Okay. So let's look at our contact information and ways to join in community with us. Bum, bum, bum. And Safe Community is the winner.
Yay. Oops.
It's okay. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to make it bigger because I'm 50 now and I can't see things that far away. Okay, so these are all ways that you can join the Safe Community with other survivors. They're all free. There's no cost. There never will be a cost associated with participating in our Twitter chats or joining one of our support groups, our Facebook support groups. So we have 3 Twitter chats, as Rachel has mentioned. The first one is Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that's 6 p.m. in the UK. And the hashtag for that is CSAQT, Child Sexual Abuse Question Time. And then tonight, if you're watching us live, you are a part of our second Twitter chat of the week. That hashtag is No More Shame, and we are on live at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday in the UK. And then Tuesday night, as Athena just mentioned, is the original Twitter chat that started it all, Sex Abuse Chat. That's the hashtag. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific and Wednesday at 2 o'clock in the morning for the UK. If you would like to participate in our Monday night Twitter chat and watch the video all on one page, you can do so at bit.ly/trauma recovery U. And the T, the R, and the U do need to be capitalized. And that is a wonderful, nifty page that Athena has put together where you can watch the video broadcast on the top of the screen and tweet into the tweet box and watch the Twitter stream on the bottom of the page. If you would like to belong to one of our Facebook support groups, there's a simple 4-step process, and we ask that you use this because this is by far the easiest way, the most streamlined, simplest way to get added to one of our support groups. So we would ask that, first of all, you like the Trauma Recovery University business page. Then you send friend requests to Athena and I. We ask that you send them to both of us because we are in 2 very different time zones. She's in Maui and I am in Dallas. And so one of us is going to be able to get to you and accept your friend request sooner than the other. And after we have accepted your friend requests, please send us a message saying something like, I'd like to heal in Safe Community. I'd like to join one of your support groups. If you send us a message before we accept your friend request, it goes into our notorious other folder and we don't get any notifications about that. So then we will talk with you if we don't already know you from interacting with you on Twitter or Facebook or from a personal engagement we've been to. Then we will ask you some questions, and we ask that you be patient and not be offended with us if we ask these questions, because we're trying to screen predators from joining the groups. Our groups are very, very, very important to us, and we are very protective of the members in that group. And so we do everything we can to screen out people who would be predatory. So then we will, if we ask you the questions, you seem like a good fit, then we will welcome you into one of our groups. And it's that simple. Now let's move forward with how to contact us. Yes.
We have some people, some of you lovely, awesome peeps have sent us emails and said, I want a heal and safe community. Am I doing this right? We want to tell you, we receive a lot of those emails, by the way. And yes, you're doing it right. However, the best way for you to do it, if you're watching this video, is go over to the About section of this YouTube channel and look in the About section, and there's a 4-step process, and it's super easy. So just the one that Bobby just told you about, okay? It's going to be a lot easier than just emailing us, because then I'm going to have to paste it all over again for you. So please, please, please go to the About section or follow the directions that were just listed right there. It makes it much easier and more streamlined for us. And shifting, moving forward, probably starting next month, we're going to be even making it a little bit more streamlined. There's going to be like questions, you'll have a document, et cetera, et cetera. We're shifting. Bobby and I are having a business meeting tomorrow together, and then we're meeting with our volunteer coordinator and moderator, and we're going to be streamlining this process for you. But for now, please go to the About section or follow the directions that were just listed. Please, please, please.
It makes it so much easier for us. So let us talk about ways that you can connect with us and present everyone. And again, make bigger. Okay. So here are our email addresses. And again, we do our best to reply within 48 hours. Sometimes it doesn't happen. We are doing the best that we can, so we ask that you please be patient with us. My email address is bobbylparish@gmail.com. Athena is Athena Moberg Speaking @gmail.com. And our joint email address is nomoreshameproject@gmail.com. And then for Twitter addresses, my Twitter address is Bobby L. Parish. Athena is Athena Moberg. And then Trauma Recovery University has a Twitter account @Trauma Recovery U, and those capitals don't matter. On Facebook, our business page is Trauma Recovery University. My personal business page is Bobby Parish Coaching and Consulting. My personal page is Bobby Parish. My Athena's professional page is Athena Moberg Speaking, and her personal page is Dawn Athena Moberg. All of our videos are up on YouTube, Roku TV, Google+. Just do a search for Trauma Recovery University, and you can watch those 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Yay!
Yay!
So
I'm just saying
it.
Good night to everyone. That is it, you guys. This has been such a wonderful week. I know this was a very heavy topic, but you guys all handled it just amazingly and supportively. You're such a great support to one another. Thank you to each and every one of you that show up here weekly to receive support and provide support to all of the other members of this survivor community. We appreciate you, and we couldn't do any of this without you. It would just be Bobby and I here hanging out, which we love to do, but it makes it so much more meaningful and beautiful when we get to sit here and hang out with all of you and answer your very real and important questions. And just thank you. We're honored. We're honored that you would spend this time with us. It's over an hour of your week, and we value you and we value your time. So we're honored and we want to thank you. Don't forget, next week, learned helplessness. Google it. You're going to be mind blown when you look at learned helplessness. It's a lot going on in our adult life, and where it all stems from childhood. It's just big topic. And then the following week is intimacy, sexual intimacy in relationships in general, and how to navigate those waters when you are an adult survivor of child abuse, how to make sure it's healthy, how to reduce your triggers. What do you do when you are triggered? What do you do if you're in a full-blown flashback in the middle of having an intimate moment with your husband? What do you do if you just have the inability to feel any feelings anymore because your abuse has shut you down? If that's you, please don't miss it. 2 weeks from now, and 1 week is learned helplessness. Any parting sentiments and thoughts and love, Bobby?
We just hope you have an excellent week, and we look forward to seeing you back here, whether it's on this broadcast or at one of our Twitter chats or in one of our Facebook support groups. So join us. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.